Alright, so X-Men Days of Future Past. Was it the best X-Men movie yet? Well, let's talk about that. Now, X-Men Days of Future Past has to deal with a lot, because it has to work as a sequel to First Class, as well as kind of a sequel to X-Men 3, while also trying to fix all the continuity between X-Men Origins Wolverine, The Last Stand, having to put it all back together so we're all on one timeline. And it definitely succeeded in doing that. I don't want to spoil how the time travel works and all that. I'll leave that to my spoiler video because I think it was a really, really cool and I thought well thought out mechanic to time travel in this scenario. So I'll save that for later. But it definitely fixed the timeline, well, fixed in fans' perspective to where basically everything you wanted to happen can happen, and everything you didn't want to happen may or may not have happened. It got us all on the same page again, so it succeeded in that. And did it succeed in giving us a good movie? That's true too. It's kind of a Wolverine-centric movie, much like the first three X-Men movies, but there's also a lot of focus on other characters too, so it's not as much of a Wolverine movie as I would say X2 was. And we get scenes from the future. We start off there, and it's pretty bad and messed up. And like in parts when we're in the future, it feels like a good sci-fi film, like just straight up sci-fi, space, robots, and everything sci-fi film, which was cool. And then there's parts where it seems like a period spy thriller, and then there's parts where it feels like a heist movie, and where some might think that this could be a jumbled tone. What really happened here is that throughout the whole thing, it's touching all these different genres in one movie, but it feels like an X-Men movie throughout. And that is what sets this movie apart from other superhero movies, that it can touch all these genres all in one movie but still feel like an X-Men movie, which was great. The action is, I wouldn't say up to Captain America 2's level, which I still think is the best action in a superhero movie so far, but this is definitely a different kind of action, and it's close up there. It was really cool. Some of the like Blink's power in the future was really well done with all the different throwing of the teleports and stuff. In fact, all the new mutants that we were introduced to, I think got their fair share. Blink looked cool, Bishop looked cool, Toad, even though we'd seen him before, this seems like a much more coolish version of Toad. And we did get cameos from other X-Men that showed up, like Havoc was there for a little bit. And there's some others that I don't want to spoil, but Havoc was in one of the early scenes, and it just all feels cool with the different action all these different mutants and stuff can do. And as for the characters, this is a much different Wolverine than we saw in, say, the last solo Wolverine movie, because he's much more caring, but he's still a savage beast you can see in the first scene that he shows up in the past. And then obviously James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender are great in these parts, great actors overall, and they once again definitely own their roles. That being said, two of the roles that I was most happy of seeing and did a great job were two new characters that were just introduced. You had Peter Dinklage as Trask, who I felt was kinda underused a little bit. He could have still been in some more scenes I would like to, but every scene he was in, for the most part, was really good. And maybe it was just that Tyrion's my favorite character on Game of Thrones, so I wanted to like that character or not. I still think the scenes he were in were good, and he owned most of them, besides maybe one of the last few, which, when you see the movie, you'll understand what I'm talking about. And Quicksilver, who, if you've seen our reviews before, everyone praises how good Quicksilver was, and I was like, alright, maybe he'll be okay, and then I watched the movie, and yeah, he definitely steals every scene he's in, and I was kind of sad that he was only in it for a couple scenes, because he was just a really fun character to have around. And I like to see where they go with him in the next movie set in the 80s, where he'll be a bit more mature. Yeah, overall, like I say, it fixed continuity, great action, Jennifer Lawrence, I think, did a better job as Mystique in this movie than in the last one. Because in the last one, she was really playing Raven, not Mystique. In this one, she was kind of more Mystique than Raven. I do think her lines a bit kind of fell a bit, but she's a great actress, and she definitely did a more like the original trilogy Mystique than we saw in the first Class movie. And the story, everything that happens in it, like I said, it was able to touch all these genres and still felt like a good X-Men story. So it definitely worked well. I don't want to spoil anything. Again, I'll have a spoiler review, and then I'll talk about some specific scenes. But just everything that happened was cool, and it's definitely worth checking out. Now, let's get back to the question at hand I asked at the beginning. Was this the best X-Men movie yet? If you would have asked me last night after getting out of the theater, I would have said no. I still loved it, and it was in my top 2 or 3 X-Men movies. But there were certain things that happened that took away from the movie from when I first got out. But now, after sleeping on it and thinking about it some more, yes, this is the best X-Men movie to date. Those things that I wanted to happen that didn't, it wouldn't make sense if those things happened. I just wanted it to play out a certain way, and it makes sense that it didn't play out that way. So I'm glad the movie didn't do what I thought, because it worked much better this way. Yes, it's the best X-Men movie yet. And all the other X-Men movies, there's stuff that happens that just takes it. Like in Wolverine, when the samurai shows up, that kind of ruins the last part of the movie right there. So there's definitely things in those other X-Men movies that this didn't have. This movie did not have any just straight up flaws you could see right off the back. And the last action scene in this, that last act is pretty awesome. Not the way I would have went with it, but the way they went was sweet, and made some cool fight scenes, and seeing the Sentinels, both classic and new, which really, really cool. That's just the easiest way to say it. So I'm going to give this movie, it's got to be an A+. That's what it's getting. It's still probably like Captain America 2 a little bit more, but they're really close. The more I think about this X-Men movie, the more it's getting closer and closer to it. And ask me a week from now, or even when I record my spoiler video, and it could be my favorite movie of the year so far. So have you seen X-Men? If so, let me know what you thought of it down below. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. Look for my spoiler review, either come out Saturday or Sunday, or Monday, or whenever I feel like doing it. Watch all my other videos just because, why not? Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching, especially if you made it this far, and see you next time.